Patrick, CC. Shout out to Patrick. I've been watching a lot of Patrick stuff. For his other channel recently. I don't know why. I'll be honest, Scared Straight failed to prevent kids from becoming criminals.
Beyond Scared Straight is easily one of the most
Facts.
controversial shows in history. Parents
Patrick.
of troubled youth pay for their children to tour the
Well, you have to see Patrick to know.
inside of a prison or county jail so they can be exposed to the dark reality of life behind bars.
What's it called? How many? I know everybody. You know, but I know everybody's seen Beyond Scared Straight, bro. Everybody's seen it, but funny, bro. It'd be funny, bro. It'd be funny because the kids be thinking they're hot, junk. You know what I'm saying?
When they arrive, they meet with real inmates
Yeah.
who strike fear into them with threats, with the goal being to prevent today's teenagers from becoming tomorrow's prisoner.
For preventing today's teens becoming thugs.
But their exposure therapy techniques are definitely questionable.
What the hell is this? What is this? Is this a chain? A tattoo? Unreal.
Why wrong you, dog?
Yeah, see, you don't want to be this kid.
You were starting in the wrong.
This is a hoodlum. This is what we call hoodlums.
We put this on just like you.
Nah, I see. Everybody's seen this.
Lick your lips. Now stick your hand in that Kool-Aid. Just stick it in there. Now take your finger, just do this to the bottom one.
He said, I
kiss you, you orange flavor mother.
That's you at 50. All right.
That's the.
I'm legit at 50.
You hard. Man, you hard. You want to hard.
Oh my God.
Try me.
Oh my God. Yo, this is.
Try me.
You can't do nothing about it.
I want you to try me. I want you to try me. Try.
Now, there's no doubt that the show is entertaining and has given us some pretty hilarious moments over the years. However, our entertainment is at the expense of children suffering. And the craziest part
You say that, but you know what I'm saying?
is it has been proven on multiple occasions that Scared Straight doesn't work. In fact, it might actually increase their chances of becoming lifelong criminals.
Dang, so they think this is going to help them, but it don't.
A lot of people don't realize that Scared Straight is not just a television show on A&E. It's a program that has been implemented all over the United States for the past 50 years.
It has. I think my middle school people, like, certain, not like certain bad kids, but certain people, went to the prison one time. I think I remember. I didn't go, you know what I'm saying?
And the reason it got so popular was based on just one alleged successful experiment. Scared Straight was the name of a television documentary released in 1978.
78? Yo, who is this creep?
Produced by Arnold Shapiro.
Arnold Shapiro.
It was critically acclaimed, won an Academy Award, and even won an Emmy.
See, they're gonna put lipstick on your lips, earrings in your ear, and have you swishing your ass up and down these tears, hustling cigarettes for your man.
What did I say?
Oh my
What
God.
did I say, mother? You here for 2 hours? You belong to us for 2 hours.
The film documented youth offenders who visited Rahway State Prison in New Jersey. They met.
Really? I think Beyond Scared Straight, like, they usually do it in Georgia. Like, they do it off of the Fulton County Jail.
With inmates with the goal of being so scared of going to prison that they
I don't know
went
if
on
they
to
still make
live
the
a
show or
straight
not. Does anybody know if they still make the show? I have no idea if they
or
still make the show or
crime-free
not.
life. The documentary claimed that 80 to 90% of the 8,000 children who visited Rahway's program
8,000?
would go on to remain law-abiding citizens afterwards. The popularity and surprisingly positive results led to more than 30 states rapidly implementing the
90 days
program. No further questions were asked. Jails and prisons all over the country saw one documentary and thought they had a solution to all of their youth offender problems. The program's validity was immediately questioned by juvenile delinquency professionals, but that didn't stop it from becoming popular. The original documentary was followed by Scared Straight, Another Story in 1980, also produced by Arnold Shapiro. This one was just a dramatic film. The subjects were actors who did scripted reenactments of their petty crimes, which led them to entering the Scared Straight program, being screamed at, and then feeling reformed after a couple overnights in the prison. Then in 1987, Scared Straight 10 years later aired.
I'll be your host for Scared Straight 10 years later. A fascinating update on what's happened to the
I thought for some reason this was Whoopi Goldberg. I ain't gonna lie.
kids and the convicts filmed a decade ago.
Nah, this ain't Whoopi
What I
Goldberg.
steal, I need, and I want. That's embarrassing. 10 years ago, yeah, I did that. I did that to look good. Now the difference is I want to look good, but I like to pay for what I take.
Not
We
gonna
got
lie,
to see the
Cuzzo has
original
a fatty.
1978
Okay,
crew,
buddy.
and they all explained how much the program changed their
Ken.
life for the
Who
better.
looks like
The
a
second
Ken.
half of the documentary introduced a new group of troubled teenagers. After their trip to Rahway State Prison, the documentary claimed that all 17 of the youth offenders were crime-free just 3 months after their visit. Then MTV connected with Shapiro for another sequel, Scared Straight 99.
99.
This documentary was potentially the most raw and shocking of them all.
Pause.
The prisoners were threatening these kids to levels we had never seen before. One inmate made a kid hold his pocket as he walked around the cell.
Nah, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. Just be a good kid, man. Just be a good kid. Now you belong to him. Now you belong to him.
This
That's
was
tough.
highly regarded as one of the best out of the series, and people still genuinely believe this was an effective form of therapy for youth offenders, which makes sense when you consider the societal standard during this time period. Mental health issues that are widely known today had not been vigorously studied. Mental health as a whole wasn't taken as seriously as it is now. Plus, it was a lot more common for parents to use tough love and physical punishment to discipline their children. These programs were seen as an extremely cheap and convenient solution to a very complex problem that is juvenile delinquency.
True.
But where Scared Straight received renowned media attention was when they released their 20 Years Later special. They claimed that of the 17 original 1978 children, only one of them became a career criminal. The 95% success rate shocked news publications. Scared Straight
I did not know this thing started in '78. I thought it was just like a show that hit off like what, like 09, maybe 10, like 2010.
Straight was a
This is
miracle
crazy. I didn't know it
solution.
started
They
in
used
78.
17 people's stories for 20 years to justify this entire program around the United States. But the popular A&E series you all know and love didn't come until
Yes, that
2011
episode.
and was produced by the same man, Arnold Shapiro.
I don't like this dude smile.
But first, a quick
Nah. Shout out to Price Big sponsor my boy, you know what I'm saying, Patrick, but they ain't sponsor your boy, so I don't know.
most of us became aware of Scary and get those picks in. Thanks, Underdog Fantasy.
Oh,
So by
shit.
the time most of us became aware of Scared Straight, it had already been a well-seasoned program all over the United
True.
States for 30 plus
boy went a
years.
FUBU
Beyond
shirt.
Scared Straight was a TV show that documented the experiences
Oh,
of troubled
Lord.
children as they embarked on a forced tour of a maximum security prison or jail. During the tours,
Damn,
inmates and
that nigga
officers
yoked up
would go to the
with a bunch of
greatest
coon-
lengths,
Nah, no, I'm
screaming, locking them in cells, putting lipstick on them, roughing them up, anything they could do to shock the children and make them terrified of going to prison in hopes that it would steer
Nah,
them
this
clear
nigga's
of a
hilarious,
life
bro.
of crime.
Nigga, what's it called? He was trying to apologize to, I think it was his grandma, I think, and then his grandma was not going for it, or his mom, I don't know which one, and she said, "You gonna stay another day." Nigga started crying, boy, and then the police officer said, "We keep him? Oh, we keep him."
Crime.
He said, "We keep
What's
him."
up? You like to fight, homie? That's what you like to do, huh? You little bitch. You's a bitch, homie. You's a pop tart. I see right through you, homie.
You better not stop.
He talked like old boy from a haunted house, homie. What's that, homie?
You ready?
Yeah, pick him up, put him against the wall.
Try me.
Yeah.
Smirk at me.
He says he don't know. You can't speak up, can you?
Are you smirking at me?
Nah, this little kid, but he thought he was tough until he walked in that prison. As soon as he walked through the door, he was crying.
Fact, bitch, you hold this. You drop it, I'll smack out of you. I don't give a about going.
This was the most
Carry
staggering
talk.
and horrific Scared Straight program
What is his name? The Brian? That's so, oh God, I ain't gonna lie, that's,
we
you
had
know,
ever seen.
if you know, you know.
and people loved it. The show's premiere alone attracted a staggering 3.7 million viewers, making it the most watched original series debut in the network's history.
It's facts.
The undeniable success of Beyond Scared Straight
Couch
led them to
chiller.
producing 83 episodes across 9 seasons,
83.
spanning from 2011 until 2015. But the most eye-opening realization about this show is that the Scared Straight program was proven by the federal government not to work. Since the
Wow.
release of the original film, many justice institutions
Chili
and criminal
bean,
prevention professionals have thoroughly
black
studied
name.
the
I
effects
didn't
of
wanna
the
say it,
program
but
to
yeah.
determine if it actually worked.
I mean, I could say, yeah, that's the blackest name I ever seen, The Brian. Let me check. I'm not
Surprisingly,
going my
numerous
little
studies have shown that the
soliloquy.
Scared Straight method can actually do more harm than good. The most significant
Waste
study was
taxpayers.
conducted by the U.S. Department of Justice after the release of the original film.
New
They
York.
examined the outcomes of 9 controlled trials conducted from 1967
Go,
to
baby.
1992. This involved over 900 children, with the average age of 15 to 17, who
Right.
participated in Scared Straight-like programs in 8 different states. Also, each study was conducted by a different research team. Every one of these studies also had a control group that did not attend a Scared Straight program.
One of these states is Georgia. I know that for a fact. They definitely did one in Georgia. I feel like I don't know, they have to do one in Texas. There's no shot they don't do one in Texas. Atlanta, Texas. I want to say New York, California, 100%. They have to.
So they were comparing youth offenders who went to Scared Straight versus youth offenders who didn't attend one, and measured their likeliness to become a reoffender. The study found
I'm a good boy. Never did anything bad. That's a lie. It might not have been as bad as what they did, but it doesn't mean it was good.
no evidence to support the effectiveness of Scared Straight in similar programs. In fact, all analysis showed that
Exactly.
involvement in these programs increased measures of crime and delinquency. In nearly every one of the 9 studies, the group who went to Scared Straight had a higher rate of reoffense than the group who didn't go. After this comprehensive
Insane.
study was published, many others were conducted with different test subjects, different age groups, and different crimes. Many of the studies would produce very similar results. In 1997,
Bad kid.
University of Maryland
Tough.
researchers completed a report for Congress on the evidence for
I was
various
good.
crime
I was
prevention
good. I was
strategies.
good.
The researchers had no problem listing Scared Straight as one of the programs that doesn't work. To make things worse, these programs could potentially violate federal law. In 2002, which was 9 years before the first
take your
A&E
shoes off.
episode aired, the
Those are my
Office of
shoes.
Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention in Washington informed all states that Scared Straight programs or similar programs may violate the separation requirement of the JJDP Act. According to the Act, it is mandatory that juvenile offenders and non-offenders should not be detained or confined in any institution where they may have sight or sound contact with adult offenders. In short, it's illegal to have kids in jail with adults.
Basically, I thought that too. Like, usually you wouldn't bring kids to a prison with other adults who legit like are in there for life. Some of them are in there for murder. The R word. I'm not gonna say the 4-letter R word. Things of that nature.
Which makes this clip even harder to watch.
A terrified 9-year-old boy dangled like a raw piece of meat.
A 9-year-old's
in front of
insane.
Prisoners.
I thought it was a certain age limit they going. I think it's like what, like they hit double digits, like 10, 11. I thought that's what it said.
His crime: stealing pocket change from his mom and lying.
I think we
Did little boy need to be up in there? What?
can all agree that traumatizing a child to this degree for stealing pocket change is insane. Then filming it, editing it, and putting it out into the world is next level. One time they even showed these children a body and described to them what their parents would experience if they go to jail and die while on the inside. These programs typically break these children down. They start crying or mortified and just want to go home.
Yeah,
Sad
they
part
do.
is, their home life is probably rough as well. On the surface, the
Is it? I mean, well, some kids' home life is rough. You know what I'm saying? Or do they make it rough? It's another question.
concept behind these Scared Straight programs makes sense. Troubled kids are so afraid of prison that
I
they
bet they
change
are.
their ways to
That's
avoid
gotta
such
be
a
not-
dark future. However, there are multiple examples that say otherwise. Toby Keith Johnson was first featured on the show on Season 3, Episode 13. He was quiet and didn't show any emotion. The guards tried to break him down and make him feel bad about his choices, but he didn't budge. At the end, when the parents reunite with the children, Toby's mother didn't show up. 8 months later, Toby was featured on the show again. This time, he was an inmate. He was incarcerated for allegations of assaulting his mom. He got out 2 years later on parole, but sadly, continued a life of crime. He was arrested multiple times on meth and gun charges, but the most recent one was the worst of them all. In August of 2020, he was arrested for
2020. Damn, that's not good.
imprisoning a 25-year-old woman and making threats of harm, with Johnson forcefully grabbing the victim by the throat, choking her, and violently throwing her to the ground.
To gut her. What is? Okay, I can only assume what that means.
The aggression continued with it, even
said
going
all
as far
racial.
as Toby threatening her with a knife. Law enforcement would report visible signs of bruising on the victim's neck. I think it's pretty obvious that Scared Straight had no positive effect on Toby whatsoever. Franklin Morris made his premiere on A&E in 2000.
I mean, most of the time is, you know, you're not gonna have 100% rate, you know what I'm saying? But you're gonna have a pretty, like, there's always gonna be, like, you know, one bad apple in a batch maybe, and you know, these
12.
kids are the
At the
bad
time
apple.
of filming, he was living in Baltimore with his mother, Dana. In an emotional episode, Dana revealed the extent of Franklin's school suspensions, stating that she couldn't even begin to give a precise number. Franklin himself shared a nonchalant attitude towards his mother's concerns, saying,
My mother says I'm either going to end up dead or in jail. I really don't pay no mind.
At the
That's what every kid says, man.
young age of
But no,
14,
sure.
Franklin participated in the program, already having convictions for gambling and vandalism.
Oh yeah, it is illegal to gamble unless you're 18
One
or
of
older,
the
yeah.
incidents that landed Franklin a spot on the show saw Franklin and his friends wreak havoc in a store, knocking items off the shelves and vandalizing a local shop. Years after his time on the
Crazy.
show, Franklin Morris became one of 3 teenagers who met a grim fate near a playground in North Baltimore.
Wait, Franklin was one of the 3 teenagers shot and killed near a playground in North Baltimore. He was found shot in the head along with a 19-year-old Marquise Caldwell and a 17-year-old Tyreek Adams. Wow.
Alongside a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, Franklin was found shot in the head and pronounced dead at the scene.
But I thought about going to the jail, but
Hey, stay off the streets. What's what you put up, M&M's? I don't know.
it really wasn't no big deal. The reset program, it didn't change me.
It didn't
really don't
change.
feel no different.
Since
the
the
streets,
majority
man.
of
Stay
the
on the
show's
streets.
participants were children at the time, it's hard to find the long-term results of their lives. However, based on what I found, it seems like a lot of them went on to live regular lives. If you search what happened to so-and-so from Beyond Scared Straight, most of what
Wow.
you find is clickbait leading you to an Instagram page of someone who we can't confirm was actually on.
What's going on? This might be his mama or grandma or something like that. I don't know. I don't know who. I don't know. What do I know? Atlanta, Georgia. This nigga's in Georgia. Crazy.
Show. So if the program has been proven to be ineffective through various extensive studies across the past 30 years, why did they do a show about it? Well, that's because the guy who has built his entire career from this program, Arnold
I don't like
Shapiro,
this picture of
is
this
fully
dude.
convinced that this program is a good thing. Shapiro says that all the extensive studies are totally irrelevant because they were
It's
done from
2023.
1967 to 1999. He also said that only the academic community believes proper counseling for youth offenders works. If society had the money or resources to do that, that would be great if every kid could have years of counseling, but it's not realistic. It would be
True.
interesting if A&E used the millions of profits from the show to get these youth offenders counseling,
Right.
since society
Crazy.
doesn't have the money, right? Shapiro shrugs off the criticism of Scared Straight. There's every variation. It works for some, it doesn't work for some, but you can say that about any program that exists. Shapiro thinks that as long as it works for some, then it justifies the program. And since the program exists,
Nah.
he is happy profiting off of it. He has
Yeah, I bet
openly
he's chilling.
admitted that the children they decide to be on the show are not the ones that they think will change, but rather the ones with the best personality. It really is based on their personalities and what happens with them. We didn't have any belief that Brandon T. from Michigan, who stood up to
Why
the
more than just
officers
factory?
and just kind of had a meltdown, would ever change. Even when the tour was over, he got thrown out, but we still picked him because it was so explosive, and we never saw anything like that before or since. Although, other kids have stood up to officers. It's amazing. When I went through high school
What?
or even college, you never thought you would disrespect a teacher or an authority figure, especially somebody in law enforcement. But these kids have no fear. It's crucial to question whether the pursuit of profits overshadows moral principles,
Well.
as corporate interests often prioritize ratings and financial gain over the well-being of humans. But it makes it even worse when you consider that the people they are affecting are not consenting adults. These are children, and it's being
True.
broadcasted to millions of people to watch them suffer. They are being told that this is genuine rehabilitation, and they don't really have a choice to participate. Occasionally, they rebel so much that they get kicked out of the jail, but most of the time, they are trapped with no escape. The truth is, everyone wants a quick and cheap solution to an extremely complicated and layered social problem that is juvenile delinquency. But hey, as long as it works sometimes, it's all good. Right?
You would think. W video, Patrick. I'm not gonna lie. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Everybody watched Beyond Scared Straight as a kid. I watched it, you know what I'm saying?
I just upgraded my status. I put on Dior cause I just love fashion. Let's make the play for the pad, he taxing. Told her I should better die, I take my cut from the back end. I run up some racks, real fast, never crashing. York, cause I just love fashion. Let's make the play for the pad, he taxing. Told her I should be the doctor, I take my cut from the back end. I run up some racks, real fast, never crashing. Ask her, is you ready?